All right, so let's go ahead and get started. This is the Nailing FX series. We're coming to you, I'm coming to you live from Vietnam at the Pegasus Plaza in Dong Nai province, Bien Hoa City here in Vietnam. Right now, or this morning earlier, it was about 30 degrees centigrade, 86 degrees Fahrenheit, 10 o'clock here to start in Vietnam, about 4 a.m. in London, and 11 p.m. for you night owls on the east coast of the U.S. If you need to get a hold of me at any time, you can send me a personal email at fxopabert@gmail.com. You can also send an email to Tradedictive, opa@tradedictive.com. And in the future, many of these information guides that I'll put out will be posted on tradedictive.com/opa. All right, so let's go ahead. Let me go ahead and give the disclaimer. First of all, the following video clips, demonstrations, presenter guides are for educational and instructional purposes only. Tradedictive and Trade with UFOs and its presenters provide trading information purely for the purpose of demonstrating a method of using the products. Users understand that all the content used in the information presented is purely for demonstration purposes only, and they are not instructions to take trades. And it does not provide any indication or prediction of actual or future results. As a user, you understand and agree that hypothetical results obtained through any presentation or demonstration does not indicate in any way the results you may receive by using the products or methodologies we offer. All right, with that said, let's go ahead and get into what we'll be talking about today. Today is the second of a new series of Nailing FX. The first presentation I did was actually on FX Street, so you can look at it there. It gives a rundown. And so today I'll just quickly introduce the Nailing FX trading team, the schedule for June, the proposed schedule for July, and then we're going to build an 4 moving average enhanced profile and see if we can't hunt for some trades. I did get an email from Ivory asking about autophase in the program, and so I will go ahead and answer that. I've sent her an email reply, and we'll try to take a look at that as well. So here are the folks in the Nailing FX Trading Education team. We're trying to help you. This is Cherian. He's from Dubai. He did a YouTube presentation Saturday, and I was hoping that I could go ahead and follow up on that, but didn't have a chance to get into looking at that. I'm from Vietnam here, Opa in Vietnam. Tomorrow, or actually yesterday, Tuesday, Andrew did an FX nailing, FX Street nailing, and Pedro from Spain. All right, so let's go ahead, take a look at the schedule. Excuse me. Every Wednesday, I am broadcasting training live. Today is you can see the little red box. It looks like almost like a Vietnamese flag. It's actually the YouTube symbol there. So my first session was on FX Street. Today we're on YouTube. Next Wednesday I'll be on YouTube again, and then the last session for this month on FX Street. So in July we have a little more going on, and so you'll be able to follow on those sessions. So we'll be doing everything here. A little rattled right now from the startup All right, so here is the 4MA advanced profile. This is on a MT4 platform. I use the MT4 platform. You can see very quickly that it's pretty smooth, shows you some nice moves, and again, we'll confirm these with AutoUFO, AutoClimate, and AutoPhase on the Trading View platform. If you're using a different platform than MT4, you may or may not be able to get the same setup. So if you need to, I can help you get an MT4 platform that you can set up purely as demo, do your analysis there, and then go ahead and run your trades on your normal platform. So also you can see here one of the additional indicators. It's a standard MACD on the MT4 platform. So we use that to help and identify where price may change direction. And so we're trying to get a confluence of indicators. And so with that confluence of indicators, then we should be able to find some good trading opportunities. All right. And where did my cursor go? Here we go. All right. So once we get set up, we will be hunting for trades. So we're hunting for trades. And let's go ahead and see if we can't get that taken care of. So I am going to close the PowerPoint and now bring up the MT4 platform. Okay, so you can see the MT4 platform here. It's set at 1 minute right now, not because we're going to trade the 1 minute, although we can for real quick scalps, but just so that you can see here, you can see down here that this is actually live moving. And on the MT4 platform, I have two lines. I've got the ask line and the bid line. Okay, so the lower line is the bid. These are people that want to buy, obviously want to buy at a lower price. And this is the ask. This is the sellers. They want a higher price. So if you're trying to sell something, you want to get a better price if you're a higher price. And if you're buying something, you want to get a lower price. So there is your ask in orange and your bid in green here. And so you can, like I said, you can see that this is actually moving. The candles are being painted in a 1 minute time frame. All right, so I'm now going to walk through, and you can take some notes. I will create a guide that will be available sometime in the near future. We haven't got everything all set up yet. But again, you can contact me at the information email addresses that gave earlier. So let's go ahead and see how do we do this. So the first thing we do is we go up here to our indicator list, click on the indicator list, and I'm going to go down to trend and pull up a moving average. Okay. So now the first moving average is going to be an 8 period moving average. You see that's been put in there. And then it's going to be exponential, and we're going to base it on the typical price, which is high, low, close divided by 3. And my color, I always use the same coloring sequence so I know which is the fastest moving average, the closest, etc. So that's going to be blue, right? So that's the basis of our setup. That's where we all start. And so there you see the 8 period exponential moving average on the chart. Now I'm going to add another indicator, another moving average, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the data from the base moving average, the 8-period base moving average, as the input to the moving average that I'm adding. I cannot do that going here, clicking on moving average and apply to here. It only gives me a limited view of what I can do. So I can't do that here. Okay, so I'll cancel that. Now, how do I add a moving average that I want to modify, I want to customize? All right, so I'm going to go up here to the navigator icon, and we're going up to the top here, and you can see here in trend, I'm going to go ahead and click on moving average, and I'm going to drag that moving average onto the chart. Okay, so now that I've dragged that moving average onto the chart, it still shows 8, which is okay, and I'm no longer going to be using exponential. What I'm going to do is I'm going to change that to a smooth moving average, smooth, and now I am going to use the previous indicator's data. Okay, this information, previous and first indicator, was not available. So you have to build this in the correct order for it to work. So there's a previous, and my second color is going to be red. All right, so there I go. So there you see the blue and the red moving averages. Okay, this is the exponential, and this is the smooth of the exponential, smoothed of the exponential. Now, what's really interesting here is this crossover, moving average crossover, works very well. Works very well, and you can go ahead and watch for the blue crossing the red. When blue crosses red, that's kind of an indication that we want to do something. And you can see here, again, I'm looking at the 1-minute chart, so there's not a whole lot of possibility to really make any pips. Okay, and I'm going to focus on making pips. I'm not worried about the dollars, because if you make pips, the dollars show up in your account. So focus on the pips. All right, so now I'm going to add another. Remember, this is a 4 moving average profile. So I'm going to go ahead and grab this moving average again, bring it onto the chart, and drop it. Again, leave it at 8. This time, instead of smooth, I'm going to go to linear weighted. Okay, and again, I'm going to apply that to the previous indicator's data. Now that means that I'm actually applying it to the smoothed moving average of the base exponential. So I hope you can understand that, but that's what we're doing. And my coloring, I always use the same coloring format: blue, red, and now green. And so here you see that band that's come on as well. All right, so there we now have 3 moving averages that you can see very easily on the chart. Okay, and I can make this a little bit bigger so we can see what's going on. All right, so now let me go ahead and add the final moving average. We're building our profile. We're making a profile of the price chart to give us an indication of what price might do. So again, I'm leaving it as 8-period, and this time I'm going to go up to the top here and use simple moving average. And again, I'm applying it to the previous indicator's data. So That's what customizes it. And this is not just standard moving averages. These are very customized. These are selective, very selective, advanced types of approaches. So there you see the final moving average here. All right, so we have these four moving averages, and now I can go ahead and turn off the uh, navigator window because we won't need that anymore. All right, so what do you see? What can you see? Well, now we've created sort of like what's called, many times you've seen indicators that say we're a custom ribbon, custom ribbon. Well, you just created a custom ribbon if you follow this approach. Okay, and so what do we look for? We look for price to have closed above or below the custom ribbon. And particularly, we like to see where price has crossed the first two moving averages, meaning the blue crossed the red. Okay, so that's what we're looking at when we see this. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at what we have here. All right, and let me see if I can also bring up the trading view. So here we have trading view. I'm into my account. And if you don't have trading view, you should get it. There's the free versions, and then there's the paid version. So as you find your use, it'll help you with that. So I'm bringing up a simple chart here, an FX chart coming up here in Trading View. All right, here we go. All right, so here we are in Trading View, and there are three other indicators that are showing here. Okay, there are three other indicators that are showing. We have the UFOs, unfilled orders. You can see those at the top here. Now I'm looking at an hourly chart, which we're not going to see a lot of activity, a lot of movement. So I'm going to go ahead and bring that down, and let's just jump into a 5-minute chart here. Again, this is for demonstration. We want to see something actually moving so that we can get an idea of what's going on. All right. So we're looking at the euro US dollar coming. The data is being provided by FXCM. We can select different data providers. And sometimes you might not see things happening on the chart. It's because there's a problem with the data provider, so you just change the data provider. Okay. So here we see the basic Forex chart here. Euro USD. I have on the side here a watch list that's set up. All right, and I'm trying to adjust this so that we can see what's going on. All right, so here we go. Ivory sent me the email and asked me about the auto phase arrows. You see these dark red or brown down arrows that are the auto phase is an algorithm that anticipates that there will be a change in direction. Okay, it is not a trigger. It is not a trigger to go ahead and take a trade. Okay, it's an anticipation, and the auto phase must be confirmed in order for it to be tradable. So how does an auto phase get confirmed? As you can see, we had an auto phase saying go short, as we might have been approaching this zone. But I really think that this zone was actually created here. This is the genesis of that zone right here. Okay. All right. Come on, stay there. All right. So there it is. All right. So there's the zone that was actually created. So these red lines back here are not part of this zone, but the dotted lines extend all the way. So you have to understand that price has gone through this. Now, perhaps there was a zone from a previous indication that was here, but the current zone is this one here. Okay. So, but in any case, here you see an auto phase giving me an indication. It says the algorithm auto phase thinks that we may be looking at a reversal. That's all it means. We may be, maybe. Now it needs to be confirmed. How does it get confirmed? It gets confirmed when we have a close below the low of this indicated period, the auto phase period. So we didn't have that close below the low. All right, so we didn't have that close below the low, and we moved on to the next one. So we have another, so the algorithm basically is saying, you know what, I've been updated, and now I think maybe the close is still coming. All right, so okay, so we have this close. We look down here, and yes, we have a close. You see the red body is below the low, which is the low, and the open of this green candle is the same. So we had a close below that. So now, do we trigger? Well, now let's look down and see, what does the auto climate tell me? Does the auto climate tell me that we should be thinking about going short? Okay. And you can see we have the blue dots. And at that point in time, we would have had a current indication of what's going on. So we're not getting any confirmation here. So we got an alert. This is an alert. We got a confirmation of the alert, but we didn't get a confirmation of the potential trade. Okay, so that all kind of has to fall into place. So that's how you're reading this on this chart. So let's go ahead and look here. This looks like this was created someplace in here. All right. So there's this buy UFO unfilled order. And so we did have a close above the high, because now we're looking at, I don't know why I've got, oh, all right. So, but when I look down here, I still don't have a climate that says that I'm in a good position to go ahead and make that trade. Now, I'm going to add the profile on here. I can add the profile, and I build that profile basically the same way that I built the profile in MT4. TradingView does give me the option to select. It's not called previous. It actually lists out the indicators that are there, and I can use them on here. All right, so that's the way that we kind of look at this. Here we see that we got a blue dot, fat blue dot, thick, called thick or fat or big blue dot compared to the small ones. Okay, and so at the close of this period, okay, I would be inclined to go ahead and take a trade. But again, what does my profile tell me? So let's go ahead. I've got it already set up here. So I'm going to show the profile here. So you can see that this close here, everything else lines up. This close is above the 8-period exponential moving average, the first line of the profile. So now let me go ahead and add this, and you can see that it is also above the red, and they are crossing right there. They're crossing right there. Probably wouldn't have seen that until the next period, but it's a good bet. You can see that that was a good cross. And now let's go ahead and add the weighted moving average, and this profile still has the simple approach to it, so it's not fully identified. But that's what you'll be looking at. You'll be looking at that. We'd like to see the sequencing of the profile to be nice and tight. I don't have the fourth profile added on here. I've got to make some changes in here right now. But so, okay, so here's what we're going to do is we'll go ahead and remove, and remove. So all I'm looking at here now is we're looking at this trading view chart, and the current trading view chart. We were coming out of this. We have a sell zone up here. I don't have any auto phase arrows. Okay, I don't have any auto phase arrows, but we are coming out of a UFO sell zone. And so the next UFO on the 5-minute chart is down here. So let's go ahead and jump back over to this and take a look at what I'm seeing. Again, we have to match up 5 here. This is the 5. And I think that I can go ahead and pull this over. Go up here and do an overlay of these charts. This doesn't look, well, I guess it is. This is Euro USD. Some more on here. All right, so it's created a buy zone. It's created a buy zone here. And let's take a look. Okay, and so what's happened here? You can see that the UFO has identified a buy zone, and price has actually closed on the 5-minute chart. It's closed above the profile, although the profile is not sequenced properly. In order for, oh, actually it is. It is. Blue above red, above green, above brown. That's 100% sequence to the upside. To the upside. Okay, the direction of that we want to go. So, and we are in a buy zone here. We've got a blue dot down here. The only thing that we're missing on the trading view is the auto phase. The auto phase. Okay, so if I had a blue arrow showing up down here, it would have been better. So basically, what does that mean? It means that, well, although price is going to move up, it's going to run right into this sell zone. And so there's not going to be a whole lot of potential on this 5-minute chart at this point in time to really do anything. It's going to go up and come down. So we're looking at some sideways chop. So this is how we correlate. This is how I correlate the movement between the two. Okay, you can see here that now my price has started to pull back down. It may close below the profile, but the profile is no longer, it would not be in sequence. So that wouldn't be, even though it closed below, it wouldn't be a really excellent opportunity. So there's nothing happening for us to take a look at right now. So let's go ahead and take a look at the 15-minute chart. And we'll go ahead and go to 15-minute here as well. All right, so now I've got to go ahead and get this all set up in here. Pull this down. Looks like I've got some old stuff on here. Right, way down here on the 15-minute chart. All right, so what did we get? We got an auto phase here first, saying, you know what, price is likely to go down. We're very close to this sell zone, this UFO. And then we look down here and our climate doesn't confirm. So, you know, what do? We wait. We wait. We wait. So what we want to do is we want to go ahead and make sure that we have all our ducks in a row, right? We want to try to get the highest probability. Now you can, it's up to you and what's your trading plan. I'm not telling you you have to do things exactly the way I'm telling you. I'm suggesting only that the highest probability is when everything kind of lines up. And even then, when everything is 100% in order and lined up, there's still the possibility that you're going to see a problem, that the price could go against you. And so we'll look also at how do you want to set up your stops. Okay, so obviously if you're just approaching it in this way, if we're thinking that we want to go short, okay, because the auto phase is kind of giving us an indication that we want to go short. And quite honestly, if price breaks above the last high of the auto phase arrow, that period, the algorithm is likely, depending on all the math, the algorithm is likely to come back and tell me again, hey, it looks like we might want to be going short. So this is a valid zone that we can see up in here. Okay, we can see that zone up in there. If price comes up into that sell zone, we might want to go ahead and take a trade with the target down here. So the target would be 1.12765. Okay. I'm seeing that we might have a little bit of a lag. So I'll maybe speak a little slower here. All right, so let's go ahead and bring up this. We're in the 15, and again, you can see here that this is telling me we're 100% sequenced to the upside on the 15-minute chart. Okay, so when at this point right here, right there, we went into what's called the 100% sequencing, where blue was over red, was over green, was over the brown. So it matched our extended, our exclusive advanced profile. So that means that when price closes above the profile right there, okay, that's when we want to see if there is a buy opportunity. So that was 1, 2, 3, 4 periods back. 1, 2, 3, 4 periods back. Didn't get a blue dot. We got a blue dot on the next period. Okay, so this was the blue dot period, and what I try to do when I'm doing it, instead of just jumping on the close, sometimes it works in my favor, sometimes it doesn't. It all depends. If this period is the one that we want to go to, then what I will do is I will use the blue exponential moving average, the value of that, and set that as my buy. Okay, a limit buy. And you can see here that very likely it would have been taken in, and now we've seen this move up. So what happens once you go ahead and get into a period? So what we have to do is we have to look at the immediate prior trend. The immediate prior trend. The definition of a trend is a sequence or a run of higher highs and with higher lows for an uptrend, and lower highs with lower lows for a downtrend. And so let's take a quick look. Since this is the period that we're interested in right here, this period, right? Was this higher than the previous high? Yes. Was the low higher than the previous low? Yes. Okay, so we have, and in an uptrend, it's the lows that control. Okay, so just because this high was not higher than this high, it's okay because the lows control in an uptrend. So what I'm looking for is, where did we see a pivot? So here's the low, lower low, lower low, lower low, higher low. So here is the pivot. Here's the pivot low right there. So from that pivot low, okay, that pivot low, my entry is 3.3, 3.5 pips. Okay, so that is where my stop belongs, from the pivot low to my entry, to my proposed entry here. So I've got a 3.5 pip stop, and that stop would go down here just below. We have to remember, take into account the spread, the bid and ask spread, okay, which is 1.4 for this particular chart. It varies, and again, when you want to see the bid ask spread on the chart, the way you set that up is in your properties. Okay, you go to the common of your properties and you click on show ask line. Okay, show ask line. I don't usually show anything else. I show the open, high, low, close, and show the ask line, candlestick chart. Chart sometimes on the background, sometimes on the foreground, depending on what I'm trying to see. So it's real easy. These are immediate changes. So show ask line if you're not seeing it on your MT4. If you're using a really good broker that's giving you raw spreads rather than 1.4 pips, you may actually get 0 pips or 1 or 2 or 3, not pips, but points. Okay. All right. So getting back, we had this low and we measure from the low pivot of this trend. Well, that was the trend because we had lower low, an uptrend. Okay. Now that trend changed. So we had a lower high with a lower low. Okay. And so there we saw for that one period and then another period that was a 2-period downtrend. Okay. You say, well, 2 periods of downtrend, that's nothing. Well, that's right. Because what we're seeing that we have a strong profile here, a strong profile. So if you were to go ahead and want to take this trade, I'm going to use the arrow here. Whoops. Try to get that to 0. All right. And let's go ahead and make it a little thicker so we can see it. Yeah. All right. So there's my stop just below based on the spread. Now I use, personally, you have to decide, and this is something that you write into your trading plan, how you're going to account for the spread. I use a spread multiple that runs somewhere usually between 1.5 to 2. So here it looks like the spread is running about 1.2 pips to 1.3 pips. So I'm saying pips, the spread is identified in points. So it's 13 points, which is actually 1.3 pips. Okay. So if I use a spread multiple of 2, I just multiply the points times 2. So that would be 2.4. So 2.4, 2.5 pips below the low would be where I place my stop, protective stop. And then I'd measure up from there to the entry, which I had here. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to copy this line and move it up because I use, again, my personal choice is to use the exponential moving average. Sometimes it's to your benefit. Sometimes it'll run away and you won't get in the trade. So now I have a stop that is, well, 3.5 plus 2.5 is, let's see, 4 and 2 is 6. Should be a 6 pip T1. That's our safety target, right? So we're going to go ahead and move this up. First of all, I have to figure out where it's going to go. So I'm going to measure up here, 4, 5. Sometimes my mouse All right, so I'm measuring up here to 6 pips. 6 pips is right up in this spot here. And I'm going to put in a alert arrow. You see that alert arrow. So now I know where my safety target is. I'm going to copy this, pull that right onto that alert arrow. And so that's what I'm looking for. So that is at 1.347. So 1.347 is just below the sell zone. So, doing all this setup, you get good at it. But knowing that the sell zone is up here, I'm probably not. It's not a good idea to take this trade, to have taken this trade, just because I want to grab 6 pips. Okay, so but it's a good way to start. What would happen? Let's take a look if we were looking at an hourly chart. Okay, so I need to remove that, and I took out my pips. Go back here. All right, so now we're looking at an hourly chart. And what is the hourly chart telling us? The hourly chart back here. So I need to also go to an hourly chart on TradingView. So we get everything set up in here. All right. So this looks like, what it looks like to me is that this is a little bit of a retracement, a pullback, with the potential to go higher. Okay, going to the zone that exists up here that was created sometime in the future. How do I know that it was created sometime in the future? Because it's still showing the price hasn't moved through it. Right? This buy zone, this is a buy zone down in here. So we have a buy zone here. Now let's go ahead and quickly just compare. If I were looking at the 1 hour time frame and I wanted to go long. Now I could be looking at the daily first, and let's do that. Let's go ahead and go look at the daily and go to the daily here. Since I'm not looking at, in Charian, on Saturday did a tremendous job of looking ahead for the euro, where he thought it might go for the week. So you should go ahead and review that session if you haven't taken a look at it already. So all right. So what are we seeing here? All right. So we got some buy indicators way back here, and price never deleted those because it didn't go down. And we have a whole bunch of buy zones, UFOs here. So let's take a look here and see what we have. So this is telling me that on a daily basis, this auto phase has said, I think the price may want to go down. I think the price may want to go down. You can think of the auto phase as sort of your analyst, somebody talking on TV, and they say, "Oh, things look the way I look. It looks like the market is ready for a correction, and it's gonna go down." And then they're wrong. Well, we were surprised that blah 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 blah. Okay, so that's what the auto phase is. Okay, so in order for this auto phase to be valid, to be confirmed, I need to have a close below the low, and I'm not sure that there's a little wick just under that, but okay, well, we'd have to find it. And anyways, we never got a close below that low. So price is moving sideways. If price continues to go up and breaks above the high, then auto phase will come and say, "Oh, you know what? Things didn't go exactly the way we had anticipated, but it looks like the price wants to go down." Well, all right. So, but it's not a trigger. It's not telling you go short. Right? So remember that. Plus, we at no time during these auto phase indications did we see auto climate confirm. Right? Auto climate kept telling us it was going up. It went beyond the standard indication of how long, what the duration might be for that. Okay, so that's what we're looking at on the hourly there. Let's go ahead and jump back over here on the hourly. So what do we see here? Here, what did we see? We saw price go ahead and close above the profile. We saw the blue crossing the red, and then at this point where we have this little doji here, we see that we went into 100% sequencing. 100% sequencing. And so what we look at is over here, there's that little doji right there, 100% sequencing for the auto phase. And, that looks good. And we're in a buy zone. Okay, we're in a buy zone. And so where's the next sell zone? Well, let's take a look here. Way, way up here. Okay. So that is at 1.5659. 1.5659. Let's take a look over here. 1.15. So that's way 1.5. 1.15. Somewhere in here. Somewhere in here. Let me go ahead and put that in there. So somewhere 1.56. Well, close enough right there. I'll make it a little tighter. Okay, so we still have from the current, we still have another 225 pips to get to that zone. All right, could it go there? Probably not in a day, because it doesn't make on average 200 pips in a day, but a couple of days it might make it up there, especially since we're seeing this very strong daily chart. So the daily is telling us that we are strong to the upside. Okay, we've had some pullbacks. We get some pullbacks, and as soon as we start to see some of these pullbacks, okay, from this high, a little bit of pullback, it's showing some weakness, and we can see here in the auto climate that it's well extended beyond, the up move, which was for about 5 periods back here. Okay, okay, that was the 5 period. So here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, about middle of the way through here. Right. So now let's go ahead and see if we can actually hunt for trade. And I see my time is actually up. So tune in with me again next Wednesday. Hopefully get all my issues straightened out, and we will go ahead and continue on hunting for trades using the profile and using the indicators that are available to us on TradingView, and another indicator that I'll add in that gives additional confirmation and we get confluence is the MACD. So please join me next Wednesday. And in the meantime, check out the schedule and make sure that you also take a look and watch what the other nailing FX instructors are doing during their time frames. Thanks for watching. Send emails, fxopabert@gmail.com if you have any questions. I will see you when we return again next Wednesday. Have a great week.